Hello, and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called The Criminal Gold Rush. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure you click on that notification bell so you can get notified every time we upload a new episode. I'd also like to tell you about a service called HollywoodIsCalling.com. It's a great service that allows you to purchase live phone calls from your favorite celebrities, so check it out. It's something you can buy for yourself or as a gift for someone you love. There are more than 100 celebrities to choose from, and the prices start out at $19.95. So give it a try. HollywoodIsCalling.com. Now, let's get started. If you thought the crime in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco is off the charts, well, wait till you hear what's coming. Everyday criminals throughout the US and outside our country are watching videos on social media and the evening news, and they see that many major city prosecutors have effectively stopped pursuing and prosecuting criminals. Criminals are opportunists. What do you think happens when they see that so many criminals are committing crimes in some cities and not even being arrested or even pursued or investigated? For example, the city of Chicago just announced that they will not punish police officers who refuse to engage in foot pursuits of criminals, but if they do pursue a criminal on foot, then the department may launch an investigation into why they did it. Think about the ramifications of that for a minute. The first thing criminals think is, that's the city I want to move to. Because of that, criminals who now live in cities that still prosecute crimes are moving out and pouring into cities like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and elsewhere around the country, because those towns have effectively stopped fighting crime. A lot of these criminals are relocating their entire crews. They're not just moving to these low prosecution cities by themselves. They're moving with all their criminal buddies, entire crews, and gangs from across the country. And they're moving because they see tremendous opportunity. The California gold rush began at Sutter's Mill and continued for years as countless hardworking people moved west to pursue gold and prosperity and the achievement of their dreams. Those people would risk life and limb to take the year-long journey all the way across the United States in hopes of getting to California, where all that magical gold was being found. Once there, they would mine for gold and hope that good fortune would favor them. Today, it's different. Today, good, honest, hardworking people are pouring out of cities like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Chicago. And do you know who's pouring in? Gangs, criminals, rapists, drug dealers, murderers, con men, petty thieves, and white-collar criminals. This is the great new criminal gold rush of our times, maybe of all times. Some of the best white-collar criminals and con men in the country are now making their way to these cities. Why? Because they're watching the news and they see that politicians have ordered the police not to defend themselves or even their police stations. They see major store chains, retail operations, and restaurants are all closing their store chains, and the police are refusing to stop shoplifters and criminals who are coming into those stores and literally emptying the shelves. Criminals now see a city like Portland, which has had its homicide rate jump by 800%. Yes, that's not a typo. 800% since last year, since all the defunding and all the other political nonsense took place. And that crime has also skyrocketed because of an absence of law enforcement, of effective law enforcement. And the criminals all think the same thing. They think this is the new criminal gold rush, and that's where we need to be. In San Francisco, a major drugstore chain just closed 17 of its stores downtown. That's just one chain of stores, of drugstores. There are many other retail stores, restaurant chains, and office buildings which have closed or will close soon. I know what a lot of people are thinking. They're thinking, I don't own a retail store or a restaurant or a drugstore, so what do I care? Wrong. It's going to affect you in ways you never imagined. Do you know that the mayor of Chicago had to move out of her residence in Chicago because things were so bad and violent? That's the mayor of Chicago, who has the entire police department at her beck and call and able to protect her whenever she needs it. So what's going to happen to ordinary citizens, everyday people in these cities? Well, let me tell you. Burglary crews who specialize in breaking into homes and businesses are now pouring into low prosecution cities. Those locks and home alarms that people thought were going to protect their home and family won't stop any of these teams. In fact, some of these teams are so skilled and so professional that they specialize into breaking into homes that are still occupied by the residents, and they can get in and out without the homeowners ever realizing they were there. Some of them are night crews. That means they break into your home while you're sleeping and clean your house out in just a few minutes. Another thing that's happening is the advent of restaurant swarms. This is a large group of criminals who will all quietly, peacefully, and politely walk into a restaurant within a few minutes of each other, and they will order large meals, and then at a designated time, after they're done eating and drinking, they will all get up and walk out without paying. Many of these are teenagers, and they'll laugh while they're doing it. Next, you have the robbery swarms that will rampage throughout a city and start robbing and mugging and beating complete strangers. It used to be that these thugs would simply grab your phone, wallet, and watch. Now, they're videotaping themselves beating old ladies or men in a wheelchair so they can post a video of the attack on social media sites. Then they will show all their friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, and everyone else they know what they did simply by sending them a link to the latest video they created. It used to be that if you were single and you wanted to impress a girl or a guy, what you would do is you would tell them about your new job or new car or something else positive. That's not the case anymore. What they do now is they will brag about all the crimes they did last week, and then they will brag even more about the crimes they're going to do next week. These thugs don't buy flowers for their girlfriends. What they do is they ask them, "What do you want? What do you need?" And then they'll go out and steal it the next day, and then they'll give it to her with the price tag still attached. They leave the tags still attached because that helps them prove they stole it, and it gives them more street credibility. Another thing that is exploding is the advent of ultra-violent female gang attacks that will swarm innocent people and rob and beat them down so viciously and that many victims have been permanent brain damage or have been killed afterwards. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how terrifying can a group of teenage gang members be? Well, let me tell you something. These women use very long knives, they use machetes, they use mace, and they use tasers. That's right. Refuse to give your wallet, or maybe you even surrender your wallet, doesn't matter anymore. You may still get tasered or pepper sprayed. That happened to a cab driver recently who was killed as a result of it. So don't make the mistake of thinking that a teenage girl or a swarm of teenage girls can't kill you. They can, they do, and they'll take a videotape of it while they're doing it so they can brag to their friends later. This is not the same world it was 10 years ago. When these criminals move across the country and come to these low prosecution cities, the first thing they do is to look for the high income zip codes. Do you know why? I know you're thinking it's because that's where the money is. That's not the only reason. The reason they look for the highest income groups is because this demographic of high wage earners usually don't believe in using weapons to defend themselves. And criminals love that. These people don't even believe in owning weapons. These are the people who join local jujitsu clubs thinking that the self-defense lessons they learn will somehow protect them from a weapon. That is not realistic. Criminals love attacking this demographic because they'll just pull out their stolen handgun and rob them without any hesitation at all. Now we get to the top of the criminal food chain that is migrating from everywhere and all heading to these low prosecution cities and states. These are the white-collar criminals, hackers, and con men who are using the latest cons, hacks, and crimes to strip people of their homes, cars, and bank accounts. They also love stealing their stocks and bonds and much more. These groups are much harder to spot and track because they are usually super polite, super professional, well dressed, and very sharp looking. Some of them may start attending your church or your country club in search of their next meeting. Some of them will even join the same online social gathering groups for singles or other groups just to befriend you. When some of these people are engaging in what's known as the long con, they may take 6 months to a year to win over your trust and confidence before they con you out of everything. Another reason that so many criminals are flooding into these cities is because the word is out now that many of the media outlets in these towns and many in the national media are actively downplaying the explosion in crime because they're concerned about the political blowback it will cause if tourism is brought to a halt and the rest of the country sees what a hellscape their city has become. Our advice to our audience is that if you live in a low prosecution city where the crime is exploding, then you should make an effort to relocate to a city and state where they still enforce the law. We say this because we believe that things will get much worse before they get better. Thank you for watching.